This one, the positive integer q is divisible by 15. So we do what we always do with divisibility. Say q equals 15, which is 3 times 5. That's straightforward enough. And then the next one, be careful. The product of q and the positive integer x is divisible by 20. Okay, well, so q times x is divisible by 20, which breaks down to 2 squared 5. Okay, here's the point of this problem is the way they've done is they've squished together q and x. Okay. So looking at what we already know about q, the point here is to parse out x away from q times x. Okay, so we can know exactly what x is divisible by before we move on with the problem. Okay, so given that x or q already has a 3 and a 5, it's like, what does x need to have? Well, it needs to have what q isn't covering in the denominator. Q already has a 3 and a 5. You could think of it this way. The 5 could be coming from q, so we say it is coming from q, okay? X, of course, could have a 5. It could have an infinite number of 5s, but this is a version of what we talked about working with minimums. You never want to give anything more primes than it's guaranteed. X does not need to have a 5 in order to make this divisibility work. X just needs to cover what q is not covering, which is the 2 squared. Okay, and it doesn't need to be divisible by 3 because 3 is in the numerator. We don't have to cancel that. Okay, so now that I know that x is divisible by 2 squared, I say x equals 2 squared, right? That's what we always want to do, is once it's divisible, say it equals that. But here the point is you have to be sure, okay? So once I parse that out, I know x equals 2 squared. Now I can set up x squared q, which is 2 squared squared, and q, which is 3 times 5. So that's 2 to the 4th, 3, and 5. Okay, leave your answer choices, or leave that as prime. Turn your answer choices into primes. Okay, 25 is 5 squared, so I can just look right at this. Okay, we don't have 5 squared in q. Too many 5s. That's not legit. No math there. 60, well, that breaks out into 2 squared, 3, and 5. That cancels. Remember, the whole denominator needs to cancel. That's the one. Everything else has 5 squared in it. That's the problem, is we need to parse out x away from q times x. If we just leave a 5 in x, then when we go and square it here, everything, it will have 5 squared, and we'll think x squared q has 5 squared in it. But it actually doesn't. What we know it has is 2 squared, 3 and 5. Okay.